Welcome to the Edge Up Podcast with your hosts Reed and Glenn from Hawaii Trading Academy. In today's episode of the Edge Up Podcast, I want to talk about backtesting, guys. Backtesting with intention. Reed, you and I, we've gone through backtesting for all our years of trading, and we've noticed all the good things and the bad things that it has done for us. So let's talk about that. I think you mentioned you saw a meme or a post on social media about backtesting.
Yeah, so funny thing, it was clickbait and it was titled "You Need to Stop Backtesting." And I was like, this is me. I'm 10-year veteran in trading, dude, and I still backtest just to get my mind right and get in sync with the markets. And I saw that and I couldn't help but disagree with it. And of course, what do I do when what does everyone do when they disagree with something? They click on it, right? It's clickbait. And so he talked about how the reason why you should stop backtesting specifically as a new trader is because they'll formulate a 70% strike rate system, then apply it to the live market. Psychology is off. Psychology is different than a backtesting environment, and they'll get smashed and only have a 40% strike rate. And what do, man? They go back to backtesting, and then they try to create a 70% strike rate plan all over again, and it's a repetitive cycle. So that's basically the bottom line of that. And I think that's a great start to this, and I totally support backtesting. HJTV, we have 3 types of backtesting methods. If you guys are curious on our 3 methods, click the links below. It's HJTV. It's only $5 a month. Feel free to check those out. But bringing it back, man, do you do any backtesting still?
Yeah, I do, for sure. Of course, it has changed from the time I started. For those who's listening in the audience, if this is a term you never heard of before, like Glenn Reed, what's backtesting? You're simply going back into time to review the market price action and to also test the theory. And what you're doing there is just like for athletes who review their old previous games, look at the mistakes or whatnot. So like you would go ahead and pull up your chart on the specific date and time, and you would look at what happened. There's lots of different tools and charts you can use out there. TradingView has a great replay tool that you can go ahead and use. But yeah, it's essentially just going off of that, and really kind of you're learning from how you perform that day if you have taken trades, or you can learn by seeing if your new trading idea would work in this type of market environment. Lots of things, like there's different applications for traders when they're coming into trading. They're just pretty much learning. They're learning what a candle is. They're learning what price structure is. Of course, it's a way for them to develop in their strategy. That's another thing. So it's really just going and really testing out your ideas in the market. you know um One of the biggest mistakes Reed and I would make, what we made the system fit our back testing, meaning like we'll shoot for like crazy returns, we'll shoot for crazy strike rate, you know, and of course that wasn't correct when it came to the real markets. We would go, I would be in a back testing session and be like, oh, if only I entered at here instead of here. If only I bought all the
Just the stop
bottoms.
loss. Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
If I just didn't have a stop loss, I would, right? We've learned that time is the biggest variable when back testing, meaning, you know, of course you can do 30 trades of back testing in 1 month in like 30 minutes. But when you're actually in a trade on the trading day, New York market is open 8 hours. And if you're in a certain trade, you're just gonna be sitting there, and in backtesting you can just hit that fast forward button. But in the trading market, no, you cannot. You have to let the market play out. Life happens, emotional variance, like could be hungry, could be sleepy, could be angry, you could be happy, right? You're not paying attention. So those type of things that we feel that can really skew your results from backtesting to live markets. So we want to share about backtesting on like the reasons to backtest, because as Reed said, like 10 years in the game, he still backtests. The same for me, right? It's knowing our edge. It's knowing that our strategy will work from now or all this time that we've been using it, 10 years, and we want to know if it's still going to work 10 years from now, you know? So really making sure it has an edge, seeing if we can adapt it to different market environments. Nobody knows what's going to happen in the markets, right? And you want to make sure your edge or your strategy, your trading approach is going to be applicable and able to trade in these different environments. Number two, you want to gain confidence in your system, like looking at your stats. Like, hey, if you got a 40% strike rate for your wins, you know that out of 10 trades, there's a good possibility you'll lose 6 trades, but your 4 trades should overcome those losers. You gain confidence after a string of losses, after you're in a drawdown, because that drawdowns happen to everybody. I don't care who you are, how big, how much money you got, drawdowns happen.
Yeah, so I mean, just to bounce off of your idea of gaining confidence with a string of losses or a drawdown, that also to hit point three is it adds to your understanding of what your system can expect with drawdowns in a row. You mentioned, let's say you had a 40% strike rate. Those 6 losses could happen 1 win, 1 loss, 2 wins, 2 losses, or it could happen 6 losses, 1 win, 6 losses, 1 win. And you gain that knowledge through backtesting. And I think even that, to add even a little bit more detail on that, you could refine those losses, right? You could say, okay, maybe and when the market environment reveals 3 losses in a row, I can expect this or be prepared for this. Fourth, and this is I'm at that stage where like this is the reason why I will use backtesting mainly, is because the market has not provided a entry with my edge or with my system. So I'll click on that bar replay with TradingView. That's the function that TradingView offers for backtesting. It's called bar replay. I'll hit bar replay and I'll go back like the last week or the last month and just see if there's any opportunities I either missed or something that could be refined. Maybe, hold the trade a little bit longer or something like that. So it's real fine tuning. It's basically when you can't get enough of the charts, right? I love looking at the charts, man. I love trading. I don't want to do it all day, but usually when there's just no entry, I'm like, oh, I'll take this time to back test a little bit. Maybe there's something that I could learn. And I think that's the way that I go into it, with a specific intention. Did we mention the intention? If not, when you do back test, no matter who you are, you always want to go with a specific strategy and intention. And I don't mean strategy as an edge. I mean strategy like, okay, today I'm going to go in and I'm going to look for engulfing patterns only. That's all I'm going to look at according to my system. Look at for one aspect of your system. And that's what I mean by intention. Maybe it's like I'm going to adjust instead of 50 pips stop loss, I'm going to adjust it to 30 pips. See how my strategy plays out to that. And that's what I mean with intention and having a strategy going into a back testing session.
But going back to as a new trader, when we're back testing, I was just simply looking at the charts. I was looking at the price action, like, okay, wow, this is a lot to take in. There's a lot going on. What I even look for? All traders will get exactly what they're looking for when back testing, and traders will be looking for different things. So new traders are going to see, hey, what's a strategy that is even profitable? They start to develop some sort of strategy. Experienced traders be like, okay, I have a strategy now. What can I do to improve it? Right? How can I optimize it? Increase instead of just gaining. How do I get another 5% out of the month or the year?
The year, man, a year.
Yeah,
Like even an additional 1% at the end of the year could be millions when you have a big enough account. I
yeah.
mean, it's these minor tweaks that sets the
Tweaks.
best apart. Yeah, it's minor tweaks.
Experienced traders look for adaptation in changing markets, right? The market environment in 2020 was way different from what it is 21, 22, 23 going forward and even into 24. Let's see what happens, right? So we're constantly refining. You don't want to refine too much of your strategy because, like, say if you particularly refine your strategy for the 2020 crash, right? Heavy short, trend following, you just freaking just get on board, right? But that may not work for the following year because I think, or actually that same year, 20, if you're developing a bearish strategy or a short strategy, towards the end of the year, we're making new recent highs, so the market is changing. So you want to make sure you want to take that into account when you're back testing. Risk management, it teaches you how to manage, as Reed was saying, you could experience 6 losses and 1 win, 6 losses again. How do you keep your bets small enough that you will be knocked out? What everyone will gain from back testing, you'll get the evaluation of your performance and you're going to build confidence with your system and self. Biggest thing is yourself, I think. You're the biggest variable.
Speaking of which, I bet you're listening. You're like, okay, how do I backtest? What methods are there to backtest? And there are two ways that you could actually backtest, and it's usually automated or manual. That's really the main ways to backtest. And with automation, there's so many services out there online. Just a simple Google search will bring up automated backtesting services that you could purchase.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's manual backtesting. That's a labor of love right there. That's where you're doing the individual clicks. It's not automated. Glenn, you really love to. Well, actually, let's start this off.
Yeah.
How did you start backtesting, man?
Yeah, let's talk about that. So, my main platform I was using was Thinkorswim, and they had a backtesting feature on the platform called the rewind button, I think. And I could choose a specific date and time to trade, but it wasn't user friendly, and it somewhat almost scarred me because I was watching paint dry. I'm trying to backtest a new strategy. I'm going in excited, and then when it came to it, it was terrible. I didn't know about TradingView at the time, but so I was just doing that, and I was like, okay, guys, like telling myself there has to be a different way, has to be a better way. So through learning podcasts, listening to different people, seeing what the pros use, I stumbled upon TrendSpider. And oh boy, it's been a game changer for
Game
myself
changer.
personally. Yes, and I'm gonna be converting Reed pretty soon, putting it out there. But yeah, I mean
Maybe.
now TrendSpider is a great tool. It's the way the team is great, the support is great. The platform itself, yes, there's a learning curve. You can get intimidated by it. There's a lot of features, but you don't have to use it all. You don't have to use all the features. If you find the features that you like and you use and what's beneficial for you, boom, that's all you need. So for me, making that switch to automation was key, going towards a systematic trader. You're talking about system, the emotional discretionary decision making out of it, and just putting in a system, quantifying the system, your edge, and putting it in there and let the AI, the bots, let it do its thing.
And then, I mean, still to this day, you're still using automation in your backtesting, right? Like I know that you tried applying your swing or your trend trader, longer term trading,
Mm-hmm.
which is higher time frame entries. Now you're trying the 15-minute, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah, 15-minute
you're
or
still
30
using
minute.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's been cool. It's been a great aid for me. It's not gonna replace you as a trader, but ultimately it's utilizing the technology that we have, the tools, and just applying it to what your goal is, right? So let's talk about the pros. It saves time, obviously. You get immediate results. I get results like in an instant. You do some clicks, it's there. The information, There's a lot going on. You could back test stocks, crypto, forex, futures, commodities. When you enter in your trading signals, there's no bias. The system will take the trades based on the rules you give it, and it gives you so much data, dude. And I love data. And you and I, we're data geeks, right?
Right.
The cons, right? So it's kind of based on what you put in. So you can get skewed results. Like at the end of the day, it's a computer. It'll listen to what you're telling it to do, and so if you do not have good knowledge or experience with the system, with the platform, and you don't know what you're doing, you may get inaccurate. You're pretty sure you'll get inaccurate results. It's the lack of screen time. Like for newbie, I don't know if I would recommend, if you're coming into trading, you're fresh, you're green. I don't know if this would be the best tool at the time or at the moment.
We're talking like someone who doesn't have a strategy.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
good.
Yeah. You can use it for educational, yes, but I think, they say you need 10,000 hours of doing a particular thing in order to be an expert or whatever, right? Or be afraid of that person who practiced 10,000, one kick 10,000 times, right? Yeah.
Bruce Lee.
Bruce Lee, right? So of course, when automation, it's based on your input, so there is a learning curve, and of course, these awesome fancy platforms, they cost money. So you got to think about it to decide if you're gonna approach use automation or not. Think of it as like a business expense. Does it make sense for you, someone who's very starting on the beginning, to already have this yearly expense? You know, so
Or
or
we could go the manual route,
let's talk about that.
and the manual route is a little more there. So TradingView does have a free um package, and it does offer, I believe it does offer bar replay. I'll have to double check that. But there are free softwares out there that you could manually backtest. It's not automation like Glenn mentioned, but you know, there are pros to manual backtesting. And then I feel that it's a labor of love, man. You really fall in love with the process when you're manual backtesting. You develop your own system. You really get to know the system. And again, it could be debated, right? Like you don't know your system if you can't automate your edge, your system, your edge. But there are pros out there who are not trading with automation, and they're much better than us, trading a lot bigger account, and they still do manual um, back testing as well. Another thing, Glenn kind of touched upon this, is that you're gaining experience when you're actually manually back testing. You're seeing every single click. So, if you're unfamiliar with back testing, it's basically a button you click, and each button you click is the next candle or the next time. So, let's say you're trading the hour, you're back testing the hour time frame. Each click is a following hour, and it'll be for as fast as you click. That's how frequent the candle will update. So you really get to understand the price structure and how the market behaves and moves during trends or consolidation periods. Um, and I think nothing to add to that. Nothing can replace your own individual viewpoint. Glenn won't doesn't look at the market the same way I do, and vice versa. And we could be sitting next to each other, backtesting the exact same pair manually, and we'll both see different things. And again, that's just through experience, and you gain a lot of experience in a short amount of time when you're backtesting. Another one is, I'll have a personal story here. Is you gain intuition. And what is intuition really? We talk about this in another episode, but intuition is really just experience disguised as this word, right? Intuition. And in it's experience at a subconscious level. So for example, I was in euro pound long, market was moving beautifully. In 30 minutes, I was at 1.8%. I was basically 0.2% away from my profit target, and it gave me a high test candle, and it started basically price pulled back to my entry zone. My intuition, and I don't adjust my stop loss. That's part of my plan. It's part of my edge is 2% or bust. I adjusted my stop loss to break even and got out for break even. And looking back, it was the right decision to make. Um, it is kind of breaking the plan. It is kind of breaking the plan, but it's the fact that we're talking about intuition and that experience. And that experience really, it only came through back testing. And and that's how you build that experience. Um, Another thing is that like it's easily accessible. Anyone could do this. Anyone could manually backtest. There's a steep learning curve with automation, whereas manual backtesting, you click two buttons, go back in time, and then click forward. Like really, it's two buttons at its very base. But
Easy.
that being said, yeah, that being said, it is time consuming. There are a few cons as well, and the cons are it takes time to do this stuff. So it may take 30 minutes or an hour to backtest a month or a year, whereas Glenn just clicks away one button with automation and it's within seconds, split seconds even, not even a minute. So that's a con there. Um, One thing I found when I was starting off too is I would try to make backtesting fit an edge that wasn't there in the market just yet. And what I mean by this is, let's say there was an entry and I missed it, I would then go back and put the entry there and say, okay, I'm in it. And then let's say it actually stopped me out and then pulled back in to take me into profit. I would adjust my stop loss there in the back testing session. And that's just red flag there. You do not want to be doing that because that creates a false narrative in your mind that, oh, look, my system it is generating. It goes back to what we started in this video with, is it goes back to you're changing your bias based off of wanting to be right. And that's setting yourself up for failure in the future. Yeah, like we're constantly tweaking. So with that constant tweaking, it's gonna lead to inconsistent results, and that's just not going to give you the accurate data that you need to be successful. And then yeah, just skewed expectations. So just one quick tip here: when you guys are manually backtesting, what I like to do is, let's say I'm 2 pips away from my stop loss in the backtesting environment, and the price ends up working out and I end up winning that trade. I'll actually mark that as a loser. The reason being is because you want more losers in your backtesting. Again, it has to be a proven and profitable edge, but you want more losers in your backtesting than in real life. That way, in real life, when you have these drawdowns and these multiple losers, you're psychologically prepared for these losers and you know that it's expected. And so that's just a little tip there. Don't hype up your style just to be profitable. That's it's not going to help you in the long run. May feel good, but trading is all about not feeling good. It's about
That's
stepping out of your comfort zone.
just building off of that, there's caveats in back testing, right? Like Reed would kind of mention that to expect half of your results. Um, when backtesting, you're gonna, of course, you're gonna say you have a 50% strike rate and you have a 10%, 15% gain, but just cut that in half in when you take it to the real markets. That way it'll kind of meet your expectations or actually meet your fund performance. Say if you were to reach those same exact stats that you develop in backtesting, what comes with that ego grows. You'd be like, oh, that easy? Come
Yeah,
on, man.
trading is easy.
That easy? Right. So, for example, I was when talking about cutting your results in half. I was doing back testing the other week, and what I did was, like, I had it took the trades, right? All the automation took all the trades, but when I looked at it, the times it executed was 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m. I'm like, dude, I am sleeping during that time. I don't wake up for the New York session. So what I did to make it more realistic, my results, I just crossed out those times of entry at 2 a.m. Boom, take that whole trade out. What if even if it was a winner, take that whole thing out. Doesn't apply because why? I'm gonna trade to the schedule I want to trade to. Um, And like, yeah, if it's building up, if the test, say if all my winners were at 3 a.m., 4 a.m., then okay, maybe I might consider I'm gonna have to do something, right? But after reviewing it on this particular strategy, I found that okay, lots of the winners or the good trades happen, the entries around 9 o'clock a.m. Hawaii Standard Time, 9:30. And so that's something I gathered from the back testing, and it kind of gave me some realistic results. Like I
Quick
said,
question.
yeah,
Can you adjust the times that the automation trades? Like let's say like don't take trades from 2 a.m. to 4 a.m. Can you
unfortunately,
do that?
no. That's gonna be a manual thing you're gonna have to.
Ah, that's a
Yeah.
win on the manual side.
I
There you
mean,
go.
you know
So
what? There
yeah.
is a lot of manual on the back end. Like you can, so say you punch in your rules on the automated back testing software, but they give you can download the trade. So what I do is I export it to a spreadsheet, right, on an Excel, and from there I go down trade by trade, and I see manually be like, okay, like I said, if it's a 2 a.m. entry, I'm taking that out. I'm not going to trade that.
Yeah,
So
and that makes it a little easier too. Like you could see all the 2 a.m.s, just cross
I,
it out. I mean, it's still faster for sure.
yeah. So yeah, like the caveat too, you're still you're not in a live market with the results. It's historical. It's done. These trades were already the market already has done its thing during that specific time and day. So just a reminder that hey, look, when you you have your stats in your back testing, and don't carry that 100% to the live markets. It's going to be a little different, and so let's segue into that. Like, what stats do we actually need, or are we looking for in back testing?
Just to make it easy, we categorize as seven. Even me, when I'm back testing, I have at least these seven categories. It's percent gained or lost, basically the result, how many wins you had during that session or back testing session, how many losses you had during that, your max drawdown, your average wins and losses, your risk reward ratio, how much are you gaining per trade versus how much you're risking, and your average time in trade. And average time in trade usually refers to how long are you holding your trades for winners, how long are you holding your traders for losers. And that way you could expect yourself, like my winners usually hit 4 hours 90% of the time. At 6 hours, I shouldn't be in this trade, or I should be, I should be in profit. Maybe that's a sign that I should just cut it for break even. So these are just stats that are really critical on just a baseline standard back testing session.
Yeah, I mean, those are really crucial to really understand when it comes to checking out your strategy, and really seeing if there is a profitable edge that you could play out, you know. As we wind down the conversation, we went through a lot with back testing, like Reed mentioned in the beginning. Our HTA TV, we did do a bunch of back testing videos, and like, because it's another skill to learn, right? When it comes to trading, with the proper knowledge and the direction, you could save a lot of time with back testing to get the answers or the data that you need to better your strategy, you know. And so, like I mentioned in the during this episode, the back testing software I'm using is TrendSpider. If you guys click on the link below, then we'll definitely help you, point you in the direction on testing out that awesome software. For those who are listening, thank you guys. I hope this was valuable. Thanks for listening.
Whether you're looking to improve your trading mindset and growth, we'll provide you with the tools, tips, and inspiration you need to make your next breakthrough. So tune in and let's edge up together.